It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone. Hoping you're having a happy day today. If this is your very first time tuning into the Divas That Care, a huge welcome. My name is Candace Gish. Oh, gosh, we are going to have a great show for you guys. I'm actually a little bit sad, I'll be honest, that we've been doing, and I'm so excited to be doing it, but I'm sad that it's ending. So I hope that all of you, after the show, are able to have a chance, if you haven't already, to check out the other podcasts that we did in regards to this topic. Today, we're actually going to be talking about nutrition for a glowing skin with the amazing Jodie Pappas. And Jodie, I am so excited, and as I said, so sad that this is our last one, but welcome back to the Divas.
Thank you so much, Candace. I, too, am very sad. I feel like, I really wanted to deliver so much information and so much value, and it seems like every week I feel like, wait, there's so much more I want to say. But you know what? I think that, hopefully it's something that everyone's been enjoying and learning lots from, and, it's been a real pleasure. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, it is my pleasure also. I've had so much fun. I've learned so much. It's been so good. And I'm excited because I think you and I are going to be doing more of these podcasts because there's just so much that we can share with all of our listeners.
Yes, I hope so. Yes, I'm game. Definitely. There's lots to share.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, Jodie, for all of the new people that are just tuning in for the very first time, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, I don't mind at all. So my name is Jodie Pappas. I'm located in Ontario, Canada. I don't know if I've said that on any of the past episodes. I'm a mom to three kids, three grown daughters, I should say, a 21-year-old and soon-to-be twins, 18-year-olds. And I'm a skincare formulator and a skin health coach. So I care passionately about everything related to this fantastic organ of ours known as the skin. And I also consider myself to be a pro-aging crusader. So, I've made it my mission over the last few years to really help women embrace the aging process because our skin is going to age. I mean, you cannot stop time. You can't stop the clock or turn it back when it comes to any part of our body. And, I've made it my mission to educate women on why pro-aging is the way to go versus trying to anti-age, because anti-aging doesn't exist. It's a marketing gimmick. And the more we can actually embrace pro-aging and, just be really, really confident in our skin and do a whole bunch of things to support healthy skin. And that's what we're talking about today by talking about nutrition for glowing skin.
I love it. And that's why I've really enjoyed having you on the program. Today I'm excited because the nutrition part, a lot of people don't realize how important nutrition is to healthy skin.
Absolutely. Even myself, before I was properly trained as a nutrition expert, I really thought it was more about what you put topically on your skin. Of course, I always knew nutrition was important, but it was through my own training over the last several years that I realized just how critical it is. And you know what? For those of you listening, I hate to tell you, but you could be spending a fortune on skincare and skin treatments and facials. And I'm not saying don't do that. Obviously you want to be treating your skin well topically, and we talked about that last week, actually, in episode 3, but it's equally important that you focus on nutrition as well. The body is a complex, a complex place where everything is interconnected. And so you can be eating incredibly healthy, but the bottom line is you are not what you eat. you are what you digest. And this was something that I really learned over the last couple of years when I was studying to be an aesthetic nutritionist. And basically what it means, you could be eating a really healthy, balanced diet, but if your gut microbiome is unbalanced, then you are not digesting properly. And there are definitely ways that you can tell if things are not digesting, if you're not getting the right nutrients. And, I just have to say that I consider myself even to be an incredibly healthy eater, but unless I really pay attention to what I'm putting in my body, I can go, for days sometimes. I eat a ton of vegetables, but maybe I miss out on fruit. And, so I'm eating, lots of greens and lots of other, really healthy foods. I'm a huge fan of salads, especially in the summer, and smoothies and things like that. But then I can go days and go, wow, I haven't eaten an orange or an apple or a banana. Like, I just buy them and they look pretty in a bowl, but I don't necessarily eat them. And it's like, well, that seems like a lot of work to peel that fruit or to cut it up or, but it's things like when you really start to pay attention. And I'm hoping that's what today will do, is it'll make people pay far more attention to, are they eating a diversity of foods? Because when I tell you that you need to have a balanced gut microbiome, the number one way to get that is through eating a diversity of foods in your diet. So if you're always eating the same thing, then you're not getting that diversity, right? If you have the same breakfast and the same lunch and the same dinner every day, you're missing out on a lot of what you should be putting in your body. Yeah.
So, Jodie, what is a microbiome for any of our listeners that might not understand what that's all about?
Thank you. Yeah. So, it's funny because if you're somebody that watches, cable TV, there's been some larger brands lately that have been, doing some advertisements about the microbiome, but people still don't really know what it is. And so our body is made up of trillions of living organisms, and that's what makes up the microbiome. So that is what we're essentially doing when we eat a diverse diet. We are feeding our microbiome with the probiotics and the prebiotics that it needs to keep our skin healthy. But not only our skin, like everything is linked. So our gut health is linked, of course, it's linked to our skin, but it's also linked to our immunity, our overall immunity. So that's why this microbiome is so critically important, because if we're imbalanced, then we are more susceptible to having lower immunity. And everybody knows right now with this pandemic, we want to have the strongest immunity that we possibly can have. And so our skin, not only our skin, but our skin is key to that, and so is our gut health. So it's all connected. And I think I made that point last week as well. It's just our skin and our body is just fascinating on how it's all interrelated.
So, Jodie, I have a question for you. If our listeners are really confused now, can they talk to you? Like, how do they find out more information about this? Is this something that you help our listeners with? Like, this is something that they can contact you and you can help them kind of figure this all out?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked, because I'm actually running a program that starts today at 12 noon Eastern time, and today being January the 18th, and it runs all week, and it's free, and it's in Facebook, and it's called Pro Aging Power. And in that program, I'm going to spend a lot more time talking about this topic of nutrition. But furthermore, if that doesn't work for people and they're listening to this after the fact, then I also run an 8-week program where we really dive deeply into skin nutrition. And as part of that program, you get one-on-one skin health coaching with me. Or if you don't want to take the program and you still want to work with me, you can still do that separately. So, you can just get in touch with me at Jodie at Clean Kiss Lifestyle. Just send me an email or go to my website, which is cleankisslifestyle.com, and you can get in touch with me anyway. But I hope people can actually join this free event this week, because it's going to be really fun. I've got a really good group of women that are already going to be a part of it. And like I said, it starts today, and it's free, and it's every day just at the lunch hour.
And I'm excited because I signed up for it, and I'm looking forward to learning more. And I think that's what we all want to do. And what a great way to start this amazing year off. A lot of people do New Year's resolutions. I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions. I think that should be a part of our lifestyle. But this is a great time to learn. I always find that I'm energized in January, February to really learn new things. So I thought this is great. Okay, so I have got some more questions for you, Jodie, because this is I love what we're learning about today. So what can happen if you don't have healthy microbiomes? Like, is something going to happen to us?
So this is where it shows up on our skin. So I like to say to people that your skin is a mirror to what is going on inside the body. And so I can't say that is 100% true. Sometimes people have, nothing visibly on their skin. Their face is great. Their skin is great. But there might be a rash on their leg. There might be a rash on their foot. So it's not always something you can see basically from the neck up is what I'm trying to say. But more than not, most often it is, and it shows up on our face because our face is the exposed part of our skin, and that's what people see the most. And they touch their face a lot, right? So even given the profession that I'm in, I know better. But when I'm deep in thought, my hand goes straight to my face, and I touch my face. So it's it is susceptible to more bacteria and more things happening to it. So some of the things that I look for when I'm working with clients are things like adult acne. So that could be purely hormonal, and it happens to a lot of women over the age of 35, even, over the age of 50, you could suddenly start getting adult acne. But again, often that is linked back to an imbalance in the gut. Things like rashes or dermatitis. If you've ever gone to the doctor and they say, oh, you have dermatitis, here, use this lotion, which is usually an antibiotic lotion. A rash is your body giving you a sign that there's something going on in your gut most of the time. So there is exceptions to that. You could have a topical reaction such as an allergy to a certain ingredient in a product that you're using or in laundry soap, for example. And in those instances, it truly is just a topical issue. It might not be a deeper gut issue. But if you start getting rashes to all kinds of things that you've used for a long time, and then all of a sudden these rashes are appearing and you've changed nothing else in terms of your routine, then that's when you should start to pay attention to whether or not you have a healthy gut function. Things like hyperpigmentation, which is dark spots or aging spots or sunspots, as we like to call them, premature aging. And then there's some other things that, people will run to the doctor if they suddenly start to experience eczema or psoriasis, for example, because those become very itchy, very sore, very red, and very annoying, and they can spread. And people run to the doctor, and again, the doctor, a medical doctor, typically will give you an antibiotic ointment to stop that from happening. But when you're given an antibiotic from a doctor, it's really just a Band-Aid solution. So you're stopping the itching or the dryness on a topical level, but you're not correcting what is imbalanced in your gut. And that's where this all starts from. So, there is a famous quote that says that, yes, it does, right? All disease begins in the gut. And it's, that's been a saying that's been around for hundreds of years. And so that remains to be true. But it could be even if you're suffering from a dull or a lackluster type of complexion where you just don't feel like you have a glow anymore. When you look in the mirror, we all have those days, but when it's longer than a day, and maybe it goes on for a few months, and every time you look in the mirror, you're like, something's different. I don't seem to have the same type of complexion that I used to. Again, it could be related back to something going on in your microbiome, in your gut.
So is there types of food that we should be taking?
There absolutely is. So yes, there are vitamins and supplements that you can take in pill form. And I'm not against that, but I am definitely in favor of people getting the macronutrients and the micronutrients that their skin needs, and all the vitamins and nutrients from food sources rather than from a supplement. I think that the more you can really aim to have that diversity in your diet. And what I like to tell people is eat off label. The more you eat off label, and what I mean by that, and I don't think I made that up, I think I heard that from another expert that was talking, is think about foods that don't require a label, meaning fresh produce, right? Fresh produce or fresh protein, lean proteins that you can buy at the grocery store or at a market. The more you're eating foods that have a label, that come in a package, the less nutrient dense you are going to be, eating in your diet. So think about off label as much as possible. And then
I love that.
to answer your question, so the types of foods that you should be eating, and I could go through a list for you in just a moment of my top foods, but the type of things that you want to be thinking about is getting omega-3 fats in your diet as much as possible. So think of things like salmon is one of my favorites, nuts and seeds. So walnuts are great, pecans, almonds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, anything, flax seeds are great. Hemp seeds are great. So there's so much in that category of omega-3 fats. And then think about proteins. So when you're building your plate, I want you to think of it in terms of these three big categories. So your fats, which, like I said, they have to be mostly omega-3s. Those are the healthy fats that our body needs and loves. And then protein, and then carbohydrates. So protein's an easy category because everybody is very protein focused, right? Especially with things like the keto diet out there. Everyone knows what a fat is pretty much, and everyone knows what a protein is when we're talking about our meat, our fish, our beans, tofu, and things like that if you're a vegetarian or a vegan. And then the third bucket is carbohydrates. So, again, it's January, and so many people are doing diets, and they might be doing the keto diet or, the ketogenic diet, in which you have very low carbs in your diet on your plate, but you have very high fat and then moderate protein. So, know that might not work for everybody. And some bodies need a higher ratio of carbohydrates than what the keto diet is able to offer them. So that's why I'm not a fan of diets. And in fact, I actually counsel people against going on a diet and rather to just listen to your own intuition about what your body needs. And that's always the better way to get glowing skin and a diverse diet is just to ask yourself, what do I feel like eating today? And then go with whatever, is coming to mind, but then try to build your plate. So I'm all about, building the plate and visually looking at what you've put on your plate and then asking yourself, do I have my healthy fats? Do I have my healthy protein? And do I have my healthy carbohydrates? If you do that, then you're likely also getting, those are called macronutrients, those three categories, but you're also likely getting the micronutrients that your skin needs. And those are things like the, getting iron and selenium and zinc and, other things like that you can also get through incredible food sources. So if you're having this diversity, then you're likely going to see a big impact on your skin.
This is fun. And you know what? This is great information. And I'm excited because you're going to be going more into depth in your free 4-day pro-aging power course. So, we're going to be posting that at the end of our show here today. But also, we've been talking about hydration and water and the importance of water, too.
Yes. So, we spent a lot of time talking about it last week and why water was so important to your skin and to your overall body and health. And so when we're talking nutrition, we are also talking about hydration yet again, because, everything comes down to having proper hydration to keep everything moving. So, people become very aware of when they're dehydrated. Me personally, I start to get a headache. My mouth feels dry, my lips get chapped. So I want you to just pay attention to those signs and ask yourself, truly, am I getting enough water in my diet? And if you're curious, I would suggest you go back and listen to last week's episode, number 3 in this series, because in that I talk about my recommendations for how much water everyone should be getting on average and ways to get it, and the fact that coffee doesn't count. Coffee and wine doesn't count towards 2 liters a day, sadly.
No.
Right?
Well, and Jodie, one of the greatest things that, we've been learning from you is all these different facets. A lot of people, we don't think about stuff like that. And I really like how you said that not one thing will necessarily work for each person. And I think that's what a lot of people think. So, well, it works for them, it's going to work for me. But it really doesn't. And I like how you're saying to our listeners today is that listen to your body. Really listen to yourself. And I think that's, to me, that's what I'm taking away from this conversation today is like, you know what, just sit back. We're always told to breathe, but that's part of the listening process. Listen, what does your body need?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And, the more, here's the thing that I've found with working with women is as women, we are more likely to listen to the advice that's coming from an expert than we are to listen to our own body's expert advice. So, we feel like we don't know, like I'll just listen to what everyone else is telling me and what they're doing, and I'll try to do what they're doing. And your body is unique to you. Nobody has your body. Nobody has your genetic makeup. And so it really comes down to what works for you. So, if I'm telling you to put, all these vegetables on your plate, for example, and, so you're eating raw salads, let's just say, and you're filling up this massive bowl of salad or a massive plate, and you get a bellyache after you eat that. Well, I would say, okay, try that again, do it again, see if you get another bellyache. There could be another factor. And then if you still get a bellyache and you realize that, this salad thing isn't working for me, then I would say, then don't eat raw food. Don't eat a raw salad. It obviously isn't agreeing with your digestion. Maybe lightly steam your vegetables instead, and then try that and see how that goes for you. So don't just ditch it and say, well, I'm better off having a sandwich because vegetables give me a tummy ache and make me gassy, but rather find a different vegetable or find a different way to cook them that actually does agree with your body. Because the fact still remains, you should be having 50 to 70% of your diet made up of plant-based foods. So if you're only eating bread, then, of course, when you go to introduce plants, you're going to feel some different things happening in your digestion, but it's not a reason to not have them. Your body really needs it.
Jodie, this has been an amazing program. I know we're at the close of our show today, and I really want to thank you so much for being a part of this 4-part series and sharing with all of our listeners. Again, I want you to talk about the free 4-day pro-aging power course that starts today.
Sure. Yeah, I would love to. Thank you. So starting today at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, there is a free 4-day event. There's absolutely no obligation. This is just something that I'm doing. I only offer this once a year. So this is a pretty special event. As you can imagine, it takes a lot of time and effort and, content to pull it together. So basically what happens is every day, starting today for the next 4 days, I'm going to go really deeply for 1 hour each time. So it's basically just come and have lunch with me, and I will dive deeply into my pro-aging formula, and there will be daily prizes that you can win. There's going to be things that you can download, little guides and little, mind maps and all kinds of great tools. And you'll meet a community of other women that are in midlife that are wanting to, be healthier and to have healthier, glowing skin. So, it's just a great place all around, and it's a great time of year to really focus on doing something for yourself that builds you up rather than beats you down, because so many New Year's resolutions are about changing what you think is wrong with you. And, Candace, you and I have talked about this before. We're not fans of New Year's resolutions. I'm a fan of, living your life in a healthy way every day. And that's what Pro-Aging Power is all about. So getting on the right track for the for 2022. Yay!
I am so excited. I can't wait to listen to you today. So I hope that all of our listeners go and sign up, check that out right away here, and join us today, because this is going to be fantastic. Oh, gosh, Jodie, Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on our program. I appreciate you as one of our divas. You are such an amazing woman, and I'm so glad to call you my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. That just means the world to me, and this has been a great 4 weeks together. I don't know if I just said the name of my Facebook group, though. It's if you go into Facebook and you just search Pro-Aging Power, all one word, there's no dashes in that, then you should find us. Or it's facebook.com/groups/Pro-Aging Power. So if you're listening live and you want to join me, I can't wait, and I'll see you, Candace, at noon today. Well, noon for me.
Perfect. And thank you to all of our amazing listeners that have been listening to this amazing series. There is so much information that Jodie has given us. Personally, I have learned so many things, and it's something that I want to share with all of my children. And I know that a lot of our listeners, that's how they feel also. So if you haven't already listened to the other podcasts, make sure you go and check them out. Again, thank you to my amazing guest, Jodie. Thank you to all of our listeners around the world. It's because of all of you that we've continued to do this program. And at the end of this month, we're going to be going into our 12th season. So I'm so excited about that also. And we're going to be doing some amazing things in the new season. So again, thank you, Jodie. Thank you to all of our listeners. And please do something kind today. Until next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.